Hey kids, welcome to Storytime with Miss Megan. Today we are reading Junie B. Jones is Not a Crook, written by Barbara Park and illustrated by Denise Brunkus. Chapter 1, No Good Reason. My name is Junie B. Jones. The B stands for Beatrice, except I don't like Beatrice. I just like B, and that's all. Here is a story for you. It is called Once Upon a Time My Grandpa Frank Miller went to the store and he bought me some mittens. Once upon a time, my grandpa named Frank Miller went to the store, and he bought me some mittens. They are made out of black furry fur. And guess what? It was not even my birthday, or Christmas, or Valentine's Day. Plus, the mittens were not even on sale. Grandpa Miller just bought them for no good reason, and that is the bestest reason I ever heard of. That's how come I love that guy very much. Plus, also, he can skip. The end. I like that story a real lot, 'cause guess why? I didn't even make it up, that's why. That adventure actually happened to me. My Grandpa Miller really did buy me mittens for no good reason, and they are gorgeous, I tell you. When I first opened them up, I got filled with glee. Glee is when you run and jump and skip and clap and laugh and dance on top of the dining room table. Then your mother takes you down from the table and she carries you to your room for a timeout. Timeouts kill the glee. I wore my new mittens the whole entire morning. Plus also I wore them to afternoon kindergarten. I wore them with my attractive winter jacket. Only it wasn't actually cold out. Only who even cares? 'Cause that outfit looked very beautiful together. I showed my mittens to my bestest friend named Grace. Also, I showed them to a variety of strangers. After I got to school, I held my hands over my head, and I runned all over the playground. Look, everybody! Look at my new mittens! My grandpa Frank Miller bought them for no good reason. I waved them all around in the air. How many children see these lovely things? Raise your hands, I hollered. Nobody raised their hands. How many children think these mittens are gorgeous? Please come forward, I yelled. Nobody came forward. I put my hands back down and walked to that Grace. I couldn't create any interest, I said very glum. Only guess what? Just then I spotted my other bestest friend named Lucille. I ran my fastest to greet her. Lucille, Lucille, look at my gorgeous new mittens. See them? They're made out of black furry fur. Lucille petted them. My family has lots of fur, she said. My mother has a fur cape, and my aunt has a fur jacket, and my uncle has a fur hat. Plus my Nana just bought a brand new mink coat, only she can't wear it outside the house, or else people will throw paint at her. My mouth came all the way open. Why, Lucille? Why will people throw paint on your Nana? I asked. Lucille crossed her arms. Don't you know anything, Junie B. Jones? It's because people who love furry animals don't like them being made into coats for Nanas. Just then I felt relief in me. 'Cause I'm not even a Nana, that's why. And besides, my mittens aren't even made out of real furry animals. They are made out of fake furry animals. Those kinds don't even count. All of a sudden the bell rang for school. I zoomed to my room like a speeding rocket. 'Cause guess why? More people to show my mittens to, that's why. Chapter 2, Fur Hands. I showed my mittens to my teacher. Her name is Mrs. She has another name too, but I just like Mrs., and that's all. Feel them, Mrs., I said. Feel how soft they are. I rubbed them on her face. Ooh, they are soft, Junie B., she said. Be sure and put them in your jacket pocket so they won't get lost, okay? I skipped very happy to my seat. Yeah, only I'm not even going to lose them, I said to just myself. I'm going to wear them right on my hands the whole livelong day. 'Cause I love these guys, that's why. I took off my attractive winter jacket and I sat down at my table. Then I tapped on Lucille with my furry mittens. Hello, how are you today? I have fur hands. See them, Lucille? See my hands of fur? I flew them in the air. This is what fur hands look like when they're flying in the air, I said. I waved hello. This is what fur hands look like when they're waving hello, I said. Lucille did a frown. You're being annoying, she said. That's how come I turned around, and I smiled at that boy named William. I have fur hands, William. See them? See my fur hands? I tapped on his head. This is what fur hands look like when they're tapping on your head, I said. Just then I got up from my chair and I skipped to my boyfriend named Ricardo. I tickled him under the chin with my softy fur hands. This is what fur hands look like when they're tickling you under your chin, I said. Then I grinned and grinned, 'cause that boy brings out the best in me, that's why. Pretty soon Mrs. saw me out of my seat. She held my hand and marched me back to my table. This is how fur hands look when they're marching to my table, I said. Mrs. plopped me in the chair. Then she pulled off my fur hands and she put them on her desk. I did a sad sigh. That is how fur hands look when they're no longer in my possession, I whispered to just myself. After that, I put my head on my desk and covered up with my arms, and I didn't come out for a real long time. Chapter 3. Being Brownie. Mrs. said I could have my mittens back at recess. I stared and stared at the clock, then I tapped my fingers on my table, and I did loud breaths. Lucille tattled on me. Junie B keeps tapping her fingers and making loud breaths, and I can't even concentrate on my work, she grouched. Mrs. came to my table. Hello, how are you today? I said, kind of nervous. I am fine, except I don't actually have my mittens. She tapped her foot real fast. That was not a good sign, I think. Only guess what? Just then the bell rang for recess. Oh boy, I yelled. Oh boy, 'cause now I can have my mittens back, right? Right, missus, right? I zoomed to her desk and put them on my hands. Then I rubbed those softy things all over my cheeks. It's good to be with you again, I whispered into their fur. After that, I put on my attractive winter jacket, and I skipped outside with my friends. Me and Tattletale Lucille and that Grace play horses together at recess. I am Brownie, Lucille is Blackie, and that Grace is Yellowy. I'm Yellowy, shouted that Grace. I'm Blackie, shouted Lucille. I'm Brownie, I shouted. Only just then I looked at my mittens. I did a frown. 'Cause there was a little bit of a problem here, I think. Yeah, only how can I even be Brownie? 'Cause my horse paws are black, and so I'm two different colors apparently. Lucille and that Grace did frowns too. Said that Grace. Said Lucille. I said. Just then that Grace clapped her hands together, very excited. I know, Junie B. Today you and Lucille can trade. Today Lucille can be Brownie, and you can be Blackie, and so that way your horse paws will be the right color. Me and Lucille looked and looked at that girl, 'cause what kind of crazy idea was that? I did a huffy breath. Yeah, only how can I be Blackie when I'm already Brownie, Grace? I said. I have been Brownie for my whole entire career. You can't just go changing, you know. Yeah, Grace, you can't just go changing, said Lucille. That Grace looked embarrassed at herself. Oh yeah, what was I thinking? She said, very mumbling. After that, all of us sat down in the grass and we tapped our chins. Then, all of a sudden, my whole face lighted up. Hey, I thought of it! I thought of it! I know exactly what to do! I shouted. I jumped up. Start again, Grace. Say your name again. Say that you are Yellowy. That Grace looked curious at me. I'm Yellowy, she said. I pointed at Lucille. I'm Blackie, she said next. I spinned around real joyful. I'm Brownie, I shouted. Only guess what? Yesterday my grandpa Brownie bought me black furry mittens, and so that is how come I'm two different colors, apparently. After all of that, we did high fives, and we started playing horses. We galloped and trotted and snorted and snuffled. Only too bad for me, 'cause the sun kept on beating down on my horse head, and I got drippity inside my attractive winter jacket. I am going to die from heat perspiration, I said. That's how come I trotted over to a tree, and I took off all of my stuff. First I took off my attractive winter jacket, then I took off my furry black mittens, and I piled them into a careful pile. After that I galloped away to find my horse friends, and we played and played. Pretty soon Mrs. blew her loud whistle. That means the end of recess. Coming, shouted Yellowy. Coming, shouted Blackie. Coming, I shouted. Then I hurried up back to the tree to get my stuff. Only guess what? I saw something very terrible there, that's what. And it's called, Hey! Somebody stole my mittens! Chapter 4. No Teddy Backpack. I runned all around the tree. 911! 911! I hollered. Somebody stole them! Somebody stole my mittens! Mrs. came very quick. They stole them! They stole my mittens! 911! I shouted some more. Mrs. bended down next to me. Who, Junie B? Who stole them? She asked. A stealer, that's who. A stealer stole them. And so what kind of school is this? 'Cause I didn't even know there was crooks at this place. Mrs. said, calm down my voice. Yeah, only I can't even calm down. Because I am heartsick, that's why. Heartsick is the grown-up word for when your heart is sick. I looked at the ground real sad. Now all I have left is my dumb, attractive jacket. Mrs. picked it up, then she held in my hand, and me and her started to walk. You and I are going to the office, she told me. I quick tried to get my hand away from her. No, Mrs., I'm not allowed to go there. Mother said if I get sent to the office one more time I will get grounded, young lady. Tears came to my eyes. Grounded, young lady, is when I have to stay on my own ground, I said. Plus also I can go on the rug. Mrs. smiled. I'm not taking you to the principal's office to punish you, Junie B, she said. I'm taking you to find your mittens. I did a gasp. Principal? I asked, very shocked. Principal stole my mittens?" Mrs. laughed real loud. "No, Junie B, he didn't steal your mittens. The office is where the lost and found is located." After that she took my hand again, and we hurried up to the office. There is a grouchy typing lady at that place. I am not fond of her. "Junie B needs to look through the lost and found," Mrs. told her. "Please send her back to class when she is finished." Then Mrs. went back to room 9 and left me there all by myself. The typing lady looked over the counter at me. I did a gulp. "Yeah, only I'm not even bad today," I explained, very nervous. "Somebody stole my mittens, and that is the end of my tale." The typing lady kept on looking at me. She didn't say any words. Sweat came on my head. "Phew, is it warmish in here, isn't it?" I said. Just then I heard a door open. It was Principal. He was coming out of his office. I jumped up and down at his sight, 'cause I know that guy very good. "Principal, look, it's me. It's Junie B. Jones. My mittens got stole on the playground, and so Mrs. brought me here to get them. So just hand them over and I will be on my way, no questions asked." Principal looked funny at me. Then he went to the closet and pulled out a big box. "This is the lost and found, Junie B," he explained. "Anytime someone finds something that's been lost, they bring it here and we put it in this box." "How come?" I asked. "How come they bring it here instead of taking it home?" "'Cause one time I found a nickel in the street and Daddy said I could put it in my bank. 'Cause finding isn't the same thing as stealing, right, Principal? Finding is a lucky duck." Principal laughed a little bit. "Well, finding a nickel in the street is different, Junie B," he said. "For one thing, it would be almost impossible to discover who the owner of the nickel really was. And for another thing, losing a nickel isn't really a big deal. But when someone loses something personal, like mittens for instance, well, that's a very big deal. And so if someone else finds the mittens, they can bring them to the lost and found, and the owner can get them back." He smiled. "And that makes everyone happy, Junie B," he said. "The owner is happy because she has her mittens back, and the person who found them is happy because she's done a good deed." He pointed to a piece of paper taped on the box. "See this? This is a poem the 3rd grade wrote about the lost and found. It says, 'If you find stuff, bring it in. All day long you'll wear a grin.'" I did a frown. "Yeah, only here's the problem. I didn't lose my mittens. They got stolen on purpose. And so no one will bring them in and wear a grin, probably." Principal raised up his eyebrows. "Well, you never know, Junie B. Why don't you look in there and see?" He opened up the box for me. That's when my eyes got big and wide, 'cause it was the fullest with most wonderfulest items I ever saw. There were sweaters and sweatshirts, and baseball caps and gloves, and balls and a lunchbox, and a scarf and sunglasses, and a watch with Mickey Mouse on it. Also, there was a backpack that looked like a teddy bear. "Ooh, I always wanted one of these," I hollered, real thrilled. I put it on my back and skipped around the office. "How does it look back there?" I asked. Principal runned after me. He took the teddy off my back and put it back in the box. "We're looking for your mittens, remember?" Just then I felt upset again, 'cause I almost forgot about those furry guys, that's why. "Oh yeah, my mittens," I said, real glum. I looked through the box some more. "They're not here," I said. "My mittens are gone forever and ever, I think." I did a sad sigh. Then I picked up the teddy backpack again. "Maybe I will take this instead," I said, "'cause this teddy backpack will ease my pain, I believe." Principal said no. "How come?" I asked. "'Cause the owner doesn't even want it anymore, I bet. Her mother probably already bought her new teddy backpack, and so this one is just going to go to waste." Principal stood me up and turned me to the door. That meant I'm leaving, I think. "Come back tomorrow and look for your mittens again," he said. I talked real fast. "Yeah, only I just remembered something. I used to have a teddy backpack just like that one, maybe. Only then I lost it, probably. And so I better take that one home with me or else my mother might be mad." Principal walked me to the door. He faced me down the hall. "Goodbye, Junie B," he said. I hanged my head real disappointed. 'Cause guess why? Goodbye means no teddy backpack. Chapter 5. Gargling and Scribbling. Room 9 is way far from Principal's office. I had to stop at the water fountain, or else I might not make it. I pressed the water button with my thumb, then I puckered up my lips and I sucked the water in. I didn't even put my mouth on the spout, 'cause there is lip dirt on that thing, of course. I sloshed the water all around in my cheeks, then I bended my head way back, and I did some gargles. I can gargle very perfect, except I can't keep the water in my actual mouth. It runned out the sides and dribbled on the floor. I splashed in it with my toe. That's when I saw something very wonderful down there. "Hey, it's one of those pens that writes 4 different colors," I said. I quick picked it up and pushed the little red button on the top. The red pen popped down at the bottom. I scribbled red scribble all over my hand. "Wowie, wow, wow, I love this thing," I said. After that I pushed the green button and scribbled green scribble, and I pushed the blue button and scribbled blue scribble. Plus I also pushed the black button and scribbled black scribble. "This pen makes scribbling a pleasure," I said. I put it in my pocket and started skipping to room 9. Only too bad for me, 'cause all of a sudden I remembered about the lost and found. I stopped. "Oh no, I wish I didn't even remember about that," I said. "Now I have to take my pen to the lost and found, or else I won't wear a grin." I did a frown. "'Cause something didn't make sense here, that's why." "Yeah, only I was already wearing a grin," I said. "I wore a grin as soon as I saw this wonderful thing, and so taking it to the office will only make me sad." I tapped on my chin. Maybe Principal is a little mixed up about this," I said to just myself. "I'm pretty sure I will be happier if I keep it. And here's another thing I'm thinking. I'm thinking whoever owned this pen didn't even take good care of it, so I will give it a good home, and so what can be a gooder deed than that?" I took it out of my pocket and looked at it. Plus this even makes sense, 'cause first I got my mittens stolen, and then I couldn't have the teddy backpack, and so keeping this pen is fair and square. All of a sudden my whole face lighted up, 'cause I just thought of a different poem, that's why. And it's called Finders, Keepers, Losers, Weepers. "Finders, keepers, losers, weepers," I said real thrilled. "Finders, keepers, losers, weepers." Then I jumped up and down very happy, 'cause everybody says that, and so finders, keepers is really the rule, I bet. After that I put my pen back in my pocket, and I skipped the rest of the way to room 9. Chapter 6. My Grandpa's Wallet. I kept my pen in my pocket the whole rest of the day. I didn't want people to see it, or else they might tattletale to Mrs., and she would make me take it to the lost and found. I behaved myself very good, 'cause I didn't want to attract attention, that's why. I kept my hand in my pocket so my pen would not fall out. Also I kept thinking about my mittens, 'cause I still missed those furry guys. I put my head down on the table. "Maybe my Grandpa Miller might buy me more furry mittens," I whispered, 'cause that would be a perfect solution, I think. I raised my head up. "Hey, yeah, then I would have a wonderful new mittens, plus a wonderful new pen. And so what more can a girl ask for? That's what I'd like to know." I sat up in my chair and tapped on Lucille. "Guess what, Lucille? Maybe my Grandpa Frank Miller might buy me some new gloves, and then all my troubles will be over." Lucille said whoop-de-doo for me. "I know, it is whoop-de-doo," I said real thrilled, "and so thank you for your support." After school, me and my bestest friend named Grace rode the bus together. I run home from the corner like a speedy bullet. My Grandpa Frank Miller was babysitting my brother named Ollie. "Grandpa Frank Miller! Grandpa Frank Miller! We gotta go to the mitten store! We gotta go to the mitten store!" I hollered real loud. Grandpa Frank Miller was in the living room rocking Ollie. He looked funny at me. "Go where?" he asked. "To the mitten store! We gotta go to the mitten store!" I pulled on his hand. Get up, let's get a wiggle on." Grandpa Miller looked confused at me. That's how come I had to sit down, and I told him what happened at school. "Someone stole my mittens," I said. "They stole them while I was being Brownie, and I didn't even know where there were crooks at that place." Grandpa Frank Miller shook his head very sad. "I guess you can find crooks almost anywhere, honey," he said. "I know it," I told him. "That's how come I'm never going to see those furry guys again, and so you and me have to go to the mitten store." I felt his back pocket. Then I danced around real thrilled. "Hooray!" I shouted. "Hooray for your big fat wallet! 'Cause you got cash in there, right, Grandpa? Right?" Grandpa Frank Miller laughed. "Yes, I do. I've got cash all right," he said. "But I'm afraid we won't be able to buy you more mittens. The mittens I bought you were the only furry ones they had left. I bought the very last pair." Just then all the happy went right out of me, 'cause I didn't actually count on this terrible development. "Yeah, only we have to, Grandpa. We have to buy more furry mittens, or else what will I even do?" Grandpa Miller ruffled my hair. "Did you look in the lost and found at school?" he asked. I did a sad breath. "Yeah, only that dumb thing doesn't work out that good, 'cause people don't always turn stuff in." I patted my new pen in my pocket. "Trust me on this," I said real soft. "Well, your mittens could still turn up," he said. "Folks will surprise you sometimes." Then he told me a story about his wallet. "A few years ago I lost my wallet at the mall. I was sure I would never see it again," he said. I bobbed my head up and down. "I know it. That's because finders, keepers, losers, weepers. That's the rule, right, Grandpa?" Grandpa Miller smiled. "Well, it might be the rule for some people," he said. "But luckily it's not the rule for everyone. because the very next day when I went out to get my mail, there it was. My wallet was sitting right smack in the middle of my mailbox, and not one single penny was missing." His eyes looked happy and sparkly. "Can you imagine that, little girl?" he asked. "Someone had the chance to take everything in my wallet, but instead they drove all the way to my house and they put it in my mailbox." Just then he reached in his back pocket and pulled out his wallet. "Look what I would have lost if they hadn't returned it," he said. He took a picture out of his wallet and handed it to me. "It's you and a baby," I said. "That's not just any baby," he said. "That's you, Junie B. That's a picture of the very first time I ever held you." He looked at the picture and stared at it and stared at it. "Nicest thing a stranger ever did for me, bringing this picture back," he whispered real soft. Then he leaned over again and he kissed me on my head. Chapter 7. The Pink Fluffy Girl. After I talked to my grandpa, I went to my room. I closed my door real secret. Then I took my wonderful pen out of my pocket and I did a big sigh. 'Cause I had confusion in me, that's why. "I wish I never even heard of that wallet story," I said. "'Cause finders keepers, losers weepers isn't the rule, apparently. And so now I might be a crook." I looked at my wonderful pen. "Yeah, only I don't even feel like a crook. I feel like a lucky duck. But I still have to take this thing to Lost and Found, probably. And then it will go to waste just like the teddy backpack." All of a sudden I heard Mother and Daddy come home from work. I quick hided my pen under my mattress, 'cause those two would not be understanding of this situation. They came into my room and kissed me hello. I told them what happened to my mittens. Then I begged and begged for them to take me to the store. But Mother said there's no more left. And Daddy said there's no more left too. And so there was no more left, apparently. That's how come I got depressed all over again. And I couldn't even sleep that night. I kept on wondering about who this mitten crook was. And what did he look like? 'Cause I've seen crooks on TV before. And they are biggish and meanish with tattoos on themselves. Just then I sat up in my bed. 'Cause that good idea popped into my head, that's why. "Hey, a tattoo is easy to spot, I bet," I said. "And so maybe I can find that crook on the playground tomorrow." After that I went right straight to sleep, 'cause I would need my strength for crook looking. The next day at recess I didn't play horses with Lucille and that Grace. Instead I runned all around the playground looking for the mitten crook. Only too bad for me, 'cause most of the children had their jackets on, so I couldn't even see any crooks with tattoos. Pretty soon the bell rang. That is when I got tears in my eyes, 'cause I would never see my mittens again. Not ever, ever, never. I started walking to room 9. My nose was sniffling and drippity. I wiped it on my attractive jacket sleeve. Then, all of a sudden, a pink fluffy girl skipped past me. She had on a pink fluffy dress with pink fluffy socks and shoes, and a pink fluffy jacket made of pink fluffy fur. And guess what else? She had black furry mittens in her pink fluffy pockets. My eyes got big and wide. "Hey, my mittens! My mittens!" I screamed real loud. Then I put my head down and I zoomed at her like a speeding bull. Mrs. saw me running. She grabbed me by my attractive winter jacket. I jumped up and down and pointed. "That pink fluffy girl stole my mittens! She is the crook! Only her jacket is covering up her tattoos, and so that's what had me stumped." Mrs. called to the pink fluffy girl. She skipped over to where we were. I kept on jumping. "You stole them! You stole my mittens!" I said. "No, I didn't," she said back. "I didn't steal anything. I found these mittens. They were right in the grass, and so I thought nobody wanted them." "I did!" I yelled. "I wanted them. My Grandpa Miller bought them for no good reason, and I have been worrying about them all day and all night, and that is called a heartache, madam." Mrs. said to hush my voice. She took my mittens away from the pink fluffy girl and gave them back to me. Then she bended down and she talked to the pink fluffy girl real serious. "Even if you thought no one wanted these mittens, it was wrong of you to take them," she told her. The pink fluffy girl pointed at me. "But she didn't even take good care of them," she said. I stamped my foot. "Yes, I did. I did too take care of them. I left them with my attractive winter jacket, 'cause I didn't even know there were crooks at this place." Mrs. said hush to me again. "You should have taken them to the Lost and Found," she told the pink fluffy girl. "Yeah, 'cause then I would have found them when I looked there," I said. "And so what do you think that box is there for? My health?" The pink fluffy girl started to cry. "But I really, really love them," she said. Mrs. smoothed her hair. "I'm afraid that's not the issue," she said. "Yeah, we're afraid that's not the issue," I said, "'cause finders keepers isn't the rule, apparently, and so from now on if you find my stuff you have to take it to the Lost and Found. Plus also you can put it in my grandpa's mailbox." Mrs. looked at me a real long time. She said I'm getting on her nerves. After that, she held the pink fluffy girl's hand, and they went to talk to her teacher. I quick put my mittens on, then I buried my face in their black furry fur, and I danced around real joyful. Chapter 8. I Am Not a Crook. The next day I went to principal's office. The grouchy typing lady looked over the counter at me. I rocked back and forth on my feet. "Yeah, only I'm not even bad again," I said. "I just need to go to the lost and found, and that's all." The grouchy typing lady opened up the closet, and she pulled out the big box. Just then the phone rang, and she hurried up to answer it. I quick bended down and dug my hands around in the lost and found. Then my heart got very thrilled, 'cause I saw the wonderful teddy backpack again, that's why. I snuggled my face in its tummy. I love this softy guy," I whispered. I put him on my back and I skipped all around. The grouchy typing lady hung up the phone. "Did you lose that too?" she asked me. "Is that why you're here?" I kept on standing there and standing there. "Well," she said. Finally I did a big sigh. Then I walked very slow back to the box, and I took off the teddy backpack. "No," I said, "not why." After that I reached into my pocket and I pulled out my wonderful pen. "I found this," I said. "It was on the floor by the water fountain, and I really, really love it, only that is not the issue." Then I did a big, deep breath, and I dropped my wonderful pen into the lost and found. "I am not a crook," I said, kind of quiet. The grouchy typing lady looked nicer at me. She ruffled my hair. "No," she said, "of course you're not a crook." After that I rocked back and forth on my feet some more, and I waited and waited and waited. The typing lady raised up her eyebrows at me. "I'm waiting for the grin," I explained, "only there seems to be a delay." She laughed right out loud. That's when I felt it, the grin. It came right on my face. "Hey, it's working," I said real squealy. I skipped all around the office very happy. Then the typing lady opened up the door and I skipped all the way to room 9. And guess what? I didn't even find a pen that writes 4 different colors, and that was a big relief. The end.